Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon, Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty Boyz brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe.
Gardner on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. More better with the latest fight. Gene's got the insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every movie, every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. That's the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard-E3, and welcome to the Meaty Boyz podcast. Of course, we are going to talk some Royal Rumble. By the way, I'm also kind of got my eye on Monday Night Raw. The Bellas just announced that they are coming for the Women's Tag Team Championship. So it looks like that we're going to get Brie and Nikki versus Rhea and Io. Look, if you watch my Royal Rumble watch along, that is something that I kind of thought was going to happen as soon as you saw Brie Bella come back, especially as soon as it was announced that it was going to be more than a one-off appearance. That just seemed like the next logical step. So, not going to lie, WrestleMania, the Bellas versus Rhea and Io, I think that would be a great match to highlight the women's, tag team division. Let's say Raw also started out with some, Braun Breaker's upset because obviously of how the Royal Rumble went for him last night. Sorry, 2 nights ago. So I figure we'll kind of start with a little AEW. I just wanted to shout out Tommaso Ciampa. Congratulations. That's awesome. He's able to debut and immediately become a champion on Collision. That's great. I love that. But I obviously wanted to hop on, talk some Royal Rumble. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the Royal Rumble as well. And figure, how we started off the Rumble with the women's match. And honestly, I thought the women's Royal Rumble actually went pretty well. I actually thought it was very good. We started off with Charlotte and Alexa. I thought those two just knocked it out of the park with their little teases that they were going to attack each other before deciding to team up on everybody else. The Sister Abigail, the tease of the figure 4. I thought that was great. I love the beginning with those two. And then I love how they made sure to give everybody their shine, especially a lot of the young guy, the young ladies. We had Kiana James had a great run. Kalani Jordan was also a lot of fun. And I was also very impressed by Sol Ruka as well. She made it all the way to the final say the final three with her, Tiffany, and the eventual winner, Liv Morgan. That was a good one. The one I wanted to spotlight, though, was Lash Legend looked like a beast, and I loved that. She came in, she dominated the minute she came in to almost the minute that she left. So I thought they did a great job at highlighting the young talent in the Women's Royal Rumble. Of course, we had got all the way to the end, and naturally the winner was Liv Morgan. Before we got there, the loudest pop of the night, I also need to shout out. Brie Bella makes a return after a long time away, and the crowd, which for the most part was dead during most of this match, which is unfortunate because it was a very good match, just kind of goes nuts for Brie. So they clearly love that, and I love that for Brie. I'm excited to see where, the return goes. Obviously, we're probably going to get the tag team title match. Do they win the titles? Do they put the belts on them? Do we get maybe a mini, Brie solo run? I don't think so. I think it's better to just keep the bells together. But like I was super happy to see Brie, and the pop that she got was great. The winner being Liv Morgan, I thought was great as well. Liv has been an absolute Iron Woman for the WWE year after year after year. And of course, we are talking the last 2 years, Liv's been the runner-up in the Royal Rumble. After all the hard work that she has, done for the company, it felt like it was just the right time to pull the trigger and give her that main event spot at WrestleMania. Now, the real question is, who's it going to be? I think the answer is pretty obvious. I think, she's going to go after Stephanie Vakir. Liv versus Stephanie. It would be a fun WrestleMania match, but we do have to remember there is one pay-per-view standing in between WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, which is the Elimination Chamber, February 28th. Does Stephanie keep her title all the way till WrestleMania? I actually don't think so. I think that they will take it off of her. It feels like the story is right there for them to tell between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I think they're going to go a little bold tonight. There's going to be a street fight on Monday Night Raw. I'm going to predict that Raquel beats Stephanie and walks away with the title, setting up a Liv versus Raquel feud. And I think somehow it'll turn into a triple threat match with Roxanne getting involved as well. And I think WrestleMania, we're going to get a triple threat match with all three members of the Judgment Day for the Raw Women's title. And I think it's going to be a terrific match. You'd be able to highlight all three women, and you can go multiple different directions with the winner, right? I think the right move would be to give Liv her WrestleMania moment. But that being said, if you wanted to give Roxanne, a big win, why not, win the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania? I also think that, I do think Raquel wins it tonight. I don't think she would hold on to it past WrestleMania. I think she definitely loses. So overall, I'm excited to see where they go. And if Stephanie does retain the title tonight, well, you also run into a real risk of, we have the Elimination Chamber. It's in Chicago. You could see them taking a chance. Maybe they put the title on somebody there. Hey, you know what? Chicago would go nuts if AJ won the title, but I think that AJ's just going to get Becky at WrestleMania for the IC title. I'm looking forward to that. Overall, I thought the Women's Rumble match was easily the best of the two Rumble matches that night. Get to the men's later, but in terms of Rumble quality, the women blew the men's out of the water, and it wasn't close either. Of course, next we had Gunther versus AJ Styles. AJ Styles loses. He has to retire from in-ring competition. Now, they kept spotlighting for the WWE I do think that we're going to get some more AJ Styles matches. It feels like it's going to happen in TNA, right? Because I don't understand why they would spotlight, for WWE so hard if we weren't going to get a couple more, matches out of them. So, look, if it is the end of the road for AJ Styles, it's well deserved. Guy's been at it for about, I believe, 25 years. So if this truly is his retirement, it's a well deserved retirement. But with the way they just kind of built and promoted the match, it just feels like that we're getting a couple more Styles matches throughout the year. But hey, like I said, if I'm wrong, I just want to congratulate AJ Styles on a phenomenal career and, let's say, on a well deserved retirement. Say, watching him go from, well, obviously you could have started watching him way back in the days. You caught him on WCW, but most people know him as a TNA guy. When he was first coming up, he had some classic matches. Of course, one of the most talked about ones is against Daniels and Samoa Joe triple threat match. And he came to WWE in 2016, spent a decade there, debuted at the Royal Rumble, retired at the Royal Rumble. Him losing was such a bittersweet moment, but it was almost a perfect full circle moment where he gets to end his WWE career where it started, which was the Royal Rumble. So, like I said, when it comes to Gunther, you could go many different ways when it comes to Gunther. WrestleMania is around the corner. Who does he go after? It feels like we're gonna have both champions tied up. It truly looks like Cody and Drew isn't over. We're gonna get Punk Roman. So I think that's gonna set up a Gunther versus Randy Orton. I feel like this whole career killer versus legend killer, story is just it's such an easy one for them to set up. I think that that'd be a fun direction for both of them. It'd give them both something to do. I don't think that I'm not sure what else you'd have Randy do. If not, you could have Randy wrestle Jacob Fatu would be, I think, the other best option. But I think Randy versus Gunther would give them both a big one-on-one match that they both deserve. So, and I think obviously you have Gunther also beat Randy Orton and continue the hot streak that he's been on. We had Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn as well. And look, say what you will about that match, but that match was exactly what it needed to be. Oh, say Penta went for the slap and then just slapped the crap out of the ring post. Ugh. But that match is exactly what you wanted it to be. If Sami Zayn was not going to win, then guess what? Have Drew McIntyre win in dominant fashion. And that's exactly what happened. Sami had just enough moments there where it looked like he could win. It looked like he could fight from underneath and come out on top. But at the end of the day, say Drew had a very dominant showing, and I'm happy for him. I think Drew McIntyre is a guy that absolutely deserves this. He deserves to hold the title belt going into WrestleMania. I think that this is well deserved, and who he faces at WrestleMania, it looks like it could be Cody again. I thought their feud was over after 3 stages of hell, but I guess not. It looks like that we might carry that into WrestleMania. Me personally, I would add Jacob Fatu to this match. I don't think another one-on-one match between Cody and Drew is really that intriguing. We've already seen them go one-on-one, and we've seen them go one-on-one in stipulation matches, obviously most recently 3 stages of hell. So I think the best way to keep that matchup fresh is to add a third person. So I'm predicting that it's going to end up being Cody versus Drew versus Fatu at WrestleMania. And of course, Bronson Reed's so good at making such like basic moves seem so much more devastating. So he just did an elbow drop. I'm like, oh, my chest hurts just watching Penta take that elbow drop. But the men's rumble obviously ends up being the main event. Ooh, big Bronson Reed misses. And honestly, this is kind of where I didn't really like the men's Royal Rumble. It wasn't my cup of tea. I think we need to retire the black hoodie for a little bit. We've been kind of running the black hoodie for like years now. First with the Bloodline, and now multiple times with the Vision. Like, whodunit angles are fun, but man, that black hoodie is going to give everybody nightmares. But say we had somebody attack Braun Breaker and he gets tossed out in 10 seconds. It'll be interesting to see who the reveal is. They're teasing that it's Seth Rollins, but also I really don't know. I think Braun versus Seth would be a great WrestleMania match. I think it'd be the right WrestleMania match. I just don't know if Seth Rollins is, going to be ready for WrestleMania. Overall, the Royal Rumble was really, I didn't like it. And the reason why, I thought there's still some good. I thought the stare down between the NXT guys was awesome. I love Trick, Javon Evans, Oba Femi staring each other down. There was, some good moments like that. Oba Femi eliminated 5 guys. I thought that was solid. My problem with the Royal Rumble is the second half of it, right? I thought the first half of the match, it flowed. It flowed pretty well, actually. And then Brock Lesnar comes in. And just like every year with Brock in the Royal Rumble match, it's just him coming in, suplexing everybody. Now we got 20 people just watching Brock Lesnar just emote around the ring and maybe have a stare down with someone. This year he was having a stare down with Oba Femi. Now, the frustrating part is this, right? And ironically, somebody once said that WWE gets in its own way of making new stars, and ironically, that's a saying that Brock Lesnar said at one point during an interview. And I feel like they kind of showed it here. I thought you had a great chance to let Oba Femi eliminate Lesnar, give him that big moment, and help solidify him as the next kind of big thing, right? But what happens is we don't get that. Instead, what do we get? We get Brock just kind of sneaking up on Oba and tossing him out. I didn't really like that. I thought you had just a great chance to create really give Oba Femi a signature moment, and you just kind of screwed it up. That being said, what happened next was maybe even more brutal, because if the pacing of the match was kind of thrown off by Brock, which I still don't understand the excitement or value of Brock Lesnar in 2026. Jey Uso enters. Now, if there's something that you know about the Royal Rumble, it's a very time-sensitive event. You need to make sure your timing's up, all on get point. You need to make sure that, you got to get your spots at a certain time. I don't know if it was the crowd getting in his way or what was going on, but Jey Uso just takes forever to get into the ring. And he takes so long that in the middle of him getting into the ring, like Brock Lesnar gets eliminated by Cody and LA Knight, who just hit a BFT onto Bronson Reed onto a steel chair. But yeah, it's one of those things where in such a time, yeah, I'm live solo. In such a time-sensitive event like the Royal Rumble, where your spots need to be on time, it just felt like between Brock completely stalling out the entire match just so he can aura farm, and then Jey Uso just taking forever to get down to the ring, it just, whatever flow was left of the Royal Rumble, just completely went out the window. Say, I would love Chelsea Green to win another championship. But yeah, it's one of those things where I just thought the pacing was off. The surprises were just non-existent. They were trotting out guys from like AAA that the crowd in Saudi had absolutely no idea who they were. Like, I think there was a louder pop for me in my, streaming room than La Parca. And that's not a knock on La Parca. La Parca is a great talent, but at the same time, I think there was just a misjudgment as to, how much, AAA that, the Saudi crowd really watches. So overall, I just wasn't a big fan of the surprises. The execution was really off. Of course, let's talk about the winner of the men's Royal Rumble match. I'm not as mad as a lot of people were about Roman Reigns. Do I think you had an opportunity to make a new star? Yes. Did WWE play it too safe with the Roman Reigns win? For sure. I think they played it too safe. That being said, I do think Roman versus Punk has a chance to be a generational feud, and I'm not mad at it. So it's one of those things where would I have loved to see maybe a new winner or them crown a new star? Yeah, but I do think there could have been a lot worse winners than Roman Reigns. And I honestly hope that they kind of stick with the Roman versus I do hope they stick with Roman versus Punk. Because I think there's just a lot of potential meat on that bone. And I just don't see him challenging I don't see him challenging Drew McIntyre. I do think that would make for a fun card where you could get Cody versus Punk. But I don't think it happens. So, hey David, what's going on? Yeah, I have no problem with Roman winning. I would have loved to see like them be a little more bold and maybe have one of the younger stars pull it out, but I do think there were a lot worse options than Roman Reigns. Like I said, the match itself I thought was pretty poorly executed. But that being said, I really didn't mind the I didn't mind the ending. Granted, I do wish though Oba Femi would have gotten pushed harder. I would have loved to seen like Oba in the final four, or even somebody else, right? Didn't necessarily have to be Oba. I'd have loved to see like Javon Evans in the final four. I don't need Logan Paul in the final four. They have this weird obsession with every year they put him in the final four. And it's like, all right, well, I'm glad to see you can get to the final four every year. It's just, it feels like it's a matter of time before they have Logan Paul win the entire thing. But like I said, I would have loved to see the younger talent kind of get a bigger push in this match. It feels like that WWE sometimes just goes a little too far, gets a little too much in their own way in terms of making new stars. And I feel like you had chances to make new stars. And there were some awesome performances, like I said, mainly from a lot of the younger guys. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the Royal Rumble. Overall, I like the event. Like I said, the Women's Rumble was great. AJ versus Gunther, the match itself was fantastic. I loved it. Drew and Sammy was exactly what it needed to be. It was really just the Men's Rumble that drug the whole thing down. Even, like I said, even if I didn't mind the winner. So, overall, I enjoyed the Rumble. I enjoyed the watch-along. I'm hoping to be able to do another watch-along. The next one I have planned is WrestleMania. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to hop on for a little bit, talk some Royal Rumble, talk some WWE. So I'm actually gonna hop off now. That said my piece about the Rumble. Make sure to check out the Sports Report podcast in 34 minutes, 9 o'clock. So overall, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for being so supportive always. I definitely appreciate it. You can catch me. I will probably go live tomorrow too, but I might do a watch along for and one. I'll let you guys know. I'll post something that being said, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.